The one new penny coin, 1976, a symbol of decimal change and royal continuity. The 1976 one new penny coin, issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, stands as both a modest and significant artifact of modern British history. While it may seem like just a small bronze piece of currency, this coin encapsulates a broad narrative that spans monarchical tradition, economic modernization, numismatic evolution, and social change in the United Kingdom. To truly appreciate its meaning, we must delve into the context in which it was minted, the details of its design, and the role it played in everyday life. Historical background: the decimalization of British currency. To understand the significance of the one new penny coin, one must first grasp the monumental currency reform that reshaped British coinage in the 20th century: decimalization. For centuries, Britain used a complex currency system based on pounds, shillings S, and pence D, where, therefore, 1 pound equals 240 pence. This antiquated system was increasingly seen as outdated and inefficient, especially in the context of growing international trade and modern accounting practices. Consequently, the Decimal Currency Act of 1969 was passed, setting the stage for a simplified monetary system. Decimal Day, February 15, 1971, marked the official transition to a new system where 1 pound equals 100 new pence. As part of this overhaul, new coins were minted, including the one new penny, which entered circulation in 1971 and continued until 1981. Design and physical specifications of the 1976 one new penny coin. Obverse front design. The obverse features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as designed by Arnold McKim, a renowned British sculptor. This effigy was first introduced in 1968 and used until 1984. The Queen is depicted wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a favorite of hers. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II D.G.Reg.F.D, 1976 inch. This inscription translates to, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith, 1976. Each component reflects a part of British monarchical tradition. DG, De Grazia, by the grace of God. Reg, Regina Queen. FD, Fidei Defensor, Defender of the Faith, a title originally granted to Henry VIII by the Pope, ironically, later revoked, but retained by English monarchs. Reverse back design. The reverse was designed by Christopher Ironside, a prolific designer responsible for many decimal coin reverses. It depicts a crown portcullis with chains, an emblem associated with the Palace of Westminster and symbolic of British government and democracy. The inscription reads, New penny above and the numeral 1 below. The use of new was to distinguish it from the old pre-decimal penny. From 1982 onward, the word new was dropped and the coin simply read 1 penny. Technical details. Composition: bronze, 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, 0.5% tin. Diameter: 20.32 millimeters. Weight: 3.56 grams. Edge plain smooth. Mintage 1976. Over 500 million coins were produced, making it common in circulation, but still a vital piece of decimal currency history. The role of the one new penny in daily life. Despite its small denomination, the one new penny coin played a vital role in the daily life of British citizens. During the 1970s, a penny had more purchasing power than it does today. Items like candy, newspapers, postcards, and stamps could be bought with just a few pence. The 1p coin was ubiquitous, used in change, bus fares, vending machines, and public phones. It reflected a time when cash was the primary medium of exchange, and even the smallest denominations mattered. 1976, a snapshot of the United Kingdom. The year 1976 was one of political, economic, and social challenges for Britain. Queen Elizabeth II had been on the throne for 24 years, presiding over a rapidly changing post-imperial Britain. In 1976, Harold Wilson resigned as Prime Minister and was succeeded by James Callaghan. The country faced significant economic turmoil, including rising inflation and a balance of payments crisis, leading to an IMF loan later that year. The UK was also adjusting to its new role as a member of the European Economic Community, EC, having joined in 1973. Amid all this, the minting of coins like the one new penny symbolized continuity and stability, with the Queen's image providing a sense of enduring national identity, numismatic value, and collectability. From a collector's perspective, the 1976 one new penny is considered a common coin, especially in circulated condition. Because of its high mintage and relatively recent date, its monetary value is low, typically between 5 pence to 20 pence in average condition. However, uncirculated or proof versions, particularly those in Royal Mint sets, can fetch more, anywhere from £1 to £3 or more, depending on condition and packaging. Collectors often seek such coins to complete decimal penny collections or to mark specific years of personal or historical interest. Symbolism and legacy. Though no longer minted in bronze, post-1992 1p coins are copper-plated steel. The original one new penny remains emblematic of a transformational period in British history. It was a physical manifestation of a modernizing Britain, emerging from post-war austerity, shedding imperial identity, and aligning more closely with continental Europe. It also reflects the enduring tradition of British coinage, wherein the sovereign's portrait remains the anchor of national currency, linking every coin to centuries of royal legacy. Conclusion. The 1987 British one new penny coin is not merely a small copper-plated disc of metal. Rather, it is a tangible reflection of centuries of royal lineage, tradition, changing monetary policy, and the cultural evolution of the United Kingdom. To the casual observer, it may seem like an ordinary low-denomination coin, but for historians, numismatists, coin collectors, and enthusiasts alike, it encapsulates a wealth of meaning. Obverse. The Queen and her titles. On the obverse front of the 1987 penny is a familiar and stately portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, whose effigy of the monarch was used on British coinage from 1985 to 1997. In this depiction, the Queen is shown wearing the George IV state diadem, an ornate and elegant crown encrusted with 1,333 diamonds, which she traditionally wore during the state opening of Parliament. Maklauf's rendering was meant to highlight both majesty and serenity. Unlike earlier portraits, which tended to be more austere or classically styled, his version added a soft, dignified realism to the Queen's image. Encircling the Queen's portrait is the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg, FD 1987 inch. Let us break this down. Elizabeth II, the name of the monarch, Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms. DG, short for Dei Gratia, meaning by the grace of God. Reg, abbreviation of Regina, the Latin word for queen. FD, stands for Fidei Defensor, meaning defender of the faith, a title originally granted to Henry VIII by Pope Leo X in 1521, and retained, ironically, even after his break from the Catholic Church. 1987, the year of minting. Thus, the inscription can be translated as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith, 1987. This form of titulature has a long-standing history in British coinage and reflects both the monarch's divine right, in historical terms, and her constitutional position as head of the Church of England. Reverse, the badge of the House of Commons. Turning the coin over, the reverse side showcases the badge of the House of Commons. The design was crafted by Christopher Ironside, the original designer for decimal coinage introduced in the UK starting in 1971. The central element of this design is a crown portcullis, a type of heavy iron gate used historically in medieval castles. The portcullis is flanked by chains and topped with a crown, symbolizing Parliament's authority under the British monarchy. The portcullis itself has a deep-rooted history. It was originally the badge of King Henry VII, the founder of the Tudor dynasty, and later adopted by Parliament. As such, it represents the institutional strength of democratic government within a constitutional monarchy. It is also a nod to the Palace of Westminster, Houses of Parliament, where the portcullis appears in architectural and symbolic form. Around the portcullis is a denomination, 1 penny, with the number 1 placed just below. Historical and economic context of 1987. To fully understand this coin, one must consider the broader economic and political context of Britain in 1987. The country was under the leadership of Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, whose government was characterized by neoliberal economic policies, privatization of state industries, and a reduction in trade union power. In terms of currency, 1987 was still firmly within the post-decimalization period. The decimal system had been officially introduced in 1971, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system that had existed for centuries. The new penny was part of this change, with 100 new pence equaling £1 sterling. The term new penny had initially been used to avoid confusion with the pre-decimal old penny, which was much larger and equaled 1/240 of the pound. Though the word new was eventually phased out, from 1982 onward, the coin simply read 1 penny. The 1987 issue is often still colloquially referred to by collectors as a new penny due to its style and legacy. Inflation during the 1980s had eroded the purchasing power of low-denomination coins. By 1987, the 1 penny had very limited use in daily transactions, often being used to make change rather than being spent directly. Nevertheless, it remained essential for pricing strategy and retail rounding. Technical specifications and composition. The 1987 1 penny coin was minted in copper-plated steel, a composition that only recently replaced bronze due to rising metal costs and efforts to economize minting. Bronze was traditionally used for low-value coins, but its price had made its continued use unfeasible. The change to copper-plated steel maintained the coin's appearance, but subtly altered its weight and magnetic properties. Diameter, 20.3 millimeters. Weight, 3.56 grams. Edge, plain, smooth, not reeded. Composition, copper-plated steel. Color, reddish-brown, which oxidized over time to a darker hue. Minting and circulation. The Royal Mint, located in Lanchesink, Wales, the 1993 1 new penny coin is a fascinating and emblematic example of modern British coinage. Bearing the likeness of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin is part of the decimalized British currency system that replaced the older system of pounds, shillings, and pence in 1971. Despite being small and seemingly insignificant, this coin is a compact vessel of national symbolism, technical craftsmanship, monetary evolution, and royal history. Obverse design, the royal portrait and inscription. The obverse side of the coin, the heads, features a third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, a British sculptor of Jewish-British heritage. This portrait was introduced in 1985 and remained in use until 1997. In this depiction, the Queen wears a George IV state diadem, a regal crown typically worn for the state opening of Parliament. Surrounding her effigy is a Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg FE 1993. Let's break this down. Elizabeth II refers to Queen Elizabeth II, the reigning monarch at the time. DG Reg FD stands for DG Dei Gratia, meaning by the grace of God. Reg. Regina, Latin for Queen. FD. Fidei Defensor, meaning defender of the faith. This Latin legend is a continuation of an ancient tradition in which monarchs affirmed their divine right to rule and their role as protectors of the Christian faith. In this case, the Church of England. The date 1993 marks the year the coin was struck at the Royal Mint, the official mint of the United Kingdom. Reverse design, the portcullis. The reverse of the 1 new penny coin shows a portcullis with chains surmounted by a crown. This image is deeply symbolic and reflects centuries of British heraldry. The portcullis is a heavy grille gate used historically in medieval castles and fortresses. The crown above it symbolizes royal authority and state power. This design was originally associated with the Palace of Westminster and has become a recognizable symbol of the British Parliament and government. The reverse was designed by Christopher Ironside, who created most of the original reverse designs for the decimal coins introduced in 1971. His design was chosen from a national competition to create a consistent and dignified series of decimal coinage. Beneath the portcullis, the coin bears the inscription 1 penny, clearly stating the denomination, decimalization, and the term new penny. Although the inscription on the coin simply reads 1 penny, The term new penny refers to the original nomenclature used during the transition from the pre-decimal currency to the new decimal system. In 1971, when the UK shifted from the old monetary system, £1 equals 20 shillings equals 240 pence, to the decimal system, £1 equals 100 pence, coins were initially labeled as new pence to distinguish them from the older pre-decimal pennies. From 1982 onwards, the word new was dropped, and coins began to be labeled with their denomination alone, such as 1 penny. However, collectors and numismatists still often refer to post-1971 decimal pennies as new penny coins to distinguish them from their pre-decimal ancestors. Technical specifications. Here are the technical details for the 1993 1 penny coin. Metal composition: bronze pre-1992, copper-plated steel post-September 1992. This means a 1993 coin is made of copper-plated steel, not bronze. Diameter: 20.3 millimeters. Thickness: 1.52 millimeters. Weight: 3.56 grams. Edge: plain, smooth without milling. Shape: round. Mintage: number of coins produced: over 601 million coins were minted in 1993. The change from bronze to copper-plated steel in 1992 was primarily a cost-saving measure, as copper prices had risen, making bronze coins more expensive to produce. One way to distinguish bronze from steel coins is by testing them with a magnet. Steel coins are magnetic, whereas bronze coins are not. Monetary and circulation role. In 1993, the 1 penny coin was still an essential component of everyday transactions in the UK. Although inflation had begun to erode its purchasing power, it remained vital for making exact change, particularly in retail settings. The UK's coinage policy requires a Royal Mint to maintain a sufficient quantity of low-denomination coins in circulation. However, as prices round up and digital transactions grow, the usage of 1p and 2p coins has continued to decline in recent decades. Still, the 1993 penny remains legal tender today and can technically be used to pay any amount up to 20 pence in coins of this denomination in accordance with UK currency laws. Numismatic value and collectability. As of now, the 1993 1p coin is considered common and not particularly rare or valuable. With over 600 million minted, it is widely available in circulation and in collectors' hoards. However, a few factors can increase its value. Condition. Coins in uncirculated or proof condition may be worth more than face value, typically between 10 pence and £1 or more. Minting errors. Coins with rare minting errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or incorrect planchets, can command significantly higher prices at auction. Proof sets. The Royal Mint also issues proof versions of circulating coins for collectors. These are minted with special care and sold as part of year sets. Symbolism and cultural context. Coins like the 1993 penny reflect more than monetary value. They embody national identity, continuity, and sovereignty. The imagery used on British coinage connects modern Britain with its long royal and constitutional history. Moreover, Queen Elizabeth II's reign, which lasted from 1952 to 2022, is the longest in British history. Coins like this one span nearly every decade of the post-war era and thus function as historical artifacts in miniature. This particular 1993 issue represents a moment in the late 20th century, in an era marked by European integration, economic liberalization, and political transformation. It came just 1 year after the UK joined the Maastricht Treaty and 1 year before the launch of the National Lottery. Legacy and future of the 1 penny coin. There have been ongoing discussions in the UK about whether to abolish the 1p and 2p coins, as has happened in countries like Canada. In 2018 and again in 2020, the UK Treasury consulted the public on the future of these denominations, citing declining usage and rising production costs. However, due to public sentiment and the need for exact pricing in some sectors, the government announced it would continue to mint 1p coins for the foreseeable future. Conclusion. The 1998 1 new penny coin from the United Kingdom is a small, yet symbolically significant piece of modern British numismatic history. Though at first glance it may appear to be an everyday coin, this copper-plated steel penny tells a deeper story about Britain's monarchy, economic transitions, national identity, and the evolution of the country's coinage system. Bearing the regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, along with the inscription Elizabeth II D to G, regged F.D. 1998 inch. This coin encapsulates centuries of royal tradition in just a few letters and symbols. To begin understanding the 1998 1p coin, it helps to decode its inscription. The legend Elizabeth II refers, of course, to Queen Elizabeth II, who at that time had been on the throne for 46 years, having ascended in 1952 after the death of her father, King George VI. The abbreviation DG.Reg.FD stands for the Latin Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, which translates to By the Grace of God, Queen Defender of the Faith. This phrasing dates back to the early modern period and reaffirms the monarch's divine right to rule, as well as her role as Supreme Governor of the Church of England, a role originally assumed by Henry VIII during the English Reformation. These words are a powerful reminder of the United Kingdom's long intertwining of monarchy and religion, and how such relationships continue to be symbolically expressed through everyday objects like coins. In terms of design, the obverse front of the 1998 1p coin features the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Ian Rank Broadley, FRBS. Introduced in 1998, this particular effigy was intended to be more realistic and mature than previous versions. It marked a significant stylistic shift, as Rank Broadley's intention was to reflect the Queen's age and dignity, departing from the idealized images of her younger years. Unlike earlier portraits that smooth out signs of aging, this portrait includes subtle lines and features that give a truer impression of Her Majesty's appearance in the later 1990s. This portrait was used on British coins from 1998 until 2015, making the 1998 1p coin the very first year this design was minted, enhancing its historical importance for collectors. The reverse of the coin features a design by Christopher Ironside, who created reverse designs for the UK's first decimal coins introduced in 1971. The 1p coin's reverse shows a segment of the crown portcullis, a stylized version of a medieval gate with chains and a crown, which has long been associated with the Palace of Westminster, the seat of the British Parliament. The portcullis itself is a symbol of both strength and government, and the crown atop it emphasizes the constitutional monarchy system under which the UK operates. Though simple in appearance, the portcullis design carries connotations of national heritage, stability, and the rule of law. The 1998 1 new penny is also a representative of Britain's decimalization era, a significant moment in British monetary history. Decimalization occurred in 1971, when the United Kingdom shifted from the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence to a simplified base 10 system. The penny, once 1/240th of a pound, became 1/100th of a pound. Initially referred to as new penny, to distinguish it from the pre-decimal coinage, this naming was eventually phased out. However, the term still holds historical value and is often used by collectors for clarity. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1998 penny was minted in copper-plated steel, a material adopted in 1992 due to the rising cost of using bronze, copper, tin, and zinc for low-value coins. The change was subtle in daily use but significant for production costs. One way to detect whether a penny is made from bronze or steel is to test it with a magnet. Steel coins are magnetic, whereas bronze coins are not. The 1998 issue is fully magnetic due to its steel core. It measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter, weighs 3.56 grams, and has a plain edge. Despite being a low-denomination coin, careful attention to design and tradition ensures it remains a work of national symbolism. From a numismatic perspective, the 1998 1p coin is not rare in terms of mintage. Over 600 million were produced for circulation. Therefore, it holds little intrinsic value in common condition. However, its significance lies in the transition to the Ian Rank Broadley portrait, making it a key date for collectors who seek a complete type set of Queen Elizabeth II effigies. Coins in uncirculated or proof condition, particularly those issued in mint sets, can carry a premium depending on quality. It's also worth noting that, although circulated coins are worth only face value, They can become valuable over time and preserved in pristine condition. Culturally, the 1p coin has served as a touchstone for British identity, often appearing in idioms and traditions. Phrases like, "a penny for your thoughts," or "in for a penny," "in for a pound," evoke the coin's long-standing presence in the English language. Moreover, the penny remains a part of childhood games, piggy banks, and charity boxes. For many Britons, their first experience of money involves a humble penny, giving an emotional resonance beyond its economic worth. By 1998, the UK was undergoing a number of societal and political changes. The country had just elected Tony Blair's Labour government the year before, marking the beginning of a new political era known as New Labour, characterized by modernization and centrism. Meanwhile, in the world of finance and currency, the euro was nearing its launch, which the UK ultimately did not join, raising questions about national currency and sovereignty. In this broader context, even a 1p coin becomes a statement of British identity and resistance to the loss of traditional symbols. The coin's lifespan also intersects with the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest-serving monarch in British history, who reigned until her passing in 2022. Coins like the 1998 1p are part of her vast legacy, reflecting not only her image but also the changing values, materials, and designs of an evolving United Kingdom. With her death, coins bearing her likeness will gradually be phased out and replaced by those featuring King Charles III, making coins like the 1998 1p even more historically poignant as artifacts from the Second Elizabethan era.